Hello and welcome to today's episode. In this session, we are going to learn about target audience and research in public speaking. To know about the target audience and research, its importance in public speaking, the first and the foremost thing that we need to know is what is public speaking. Public speaking is also called oratory or oration. It is a way of speaking live to a large number of audience. So remember, mainly public speaking is live in nature, right? It is a process of designing and delivering a content to a large number of audience. That is why the word public is being used. It is said that public speaking originated in Greece and now it is a common form of mass communication all over the world. The first outstanding orator in history was Demosthenes in ancient Greece, whose steps was followed and perfected by Cicero in ancient Rome. Now, speaking to the mass has always an impact on the political, economic, and social circle. But nowadays, it is also a very common form of communication in the mass media and also in the advertisement, propaganda, and marketing. To understand what is the importance of target audience and research in public speaking, let us now find out the various types of public speaking. Broadly, there are three types of public speaking. One is informative speaking, two is persuasive speaking, and the third one is entertainment speaking. Now, the primary purpose of informative speaking is to convey information and share knowledge. The second type of public speaking, persuasive speaking. This is a very important area in the public speaking category because the main purpose of any communication done to the public is to persuade them. Of course, inform them is one major step, but the next one is to persuade them. I give an example. Corona vaccination drive has started in our country some time back. And there has been a lot of public forums where people are coming and delivering speech on this. What is the main reason? The main reason for this is to persuade people, the common mass of the country, to go and take the vaccine. In this process, public speaking does a very important role. In order to convince or to motivate people to do or to think or to act in the way I think appropriate for them, I here means the public speaker, is one important area of public speaking. So this kind of speeches comes under persuasive speaking, where the intention is not only dissemination of information but also persuasion. The next type of public speaking is entertainment. Right? Well, this is something which is very common and we can understand it from a very simple example that I would like to share with you. That is stand-up comedy shows. You understand the popularity of such public speeches where people actually stand in queue, buy tickets and go. Even those comes in the television or in the social media platforms are equally popular. Now, how public speaking benefits the speaker or the communicator? It is very simple and common. Now, does everyone become a good public speaker? Perhaps not. There are a lot of elements which is required to become a good public speaker. When I say good means a public speaker has to be influential. Nowadays, we come across a term very commonly that is public influencer. There are many young boys and girls who are public influencers. If we see the media scenario, especially the digital media, we will find a lot of public influencers. To become a public speaker, this is one role one has to play. We have learned in history that President Abraham Lincoln was a very good orator. We know that how Swami Vivekananda actually went to Chicago and through his speech won the heart of all. A monk from India going to America, giving a public speech, and how popular it became at that point of time. So, public speaking is something which is not a very easy task, but there are certain benefits of being engaged in public speaking. And what are those? Those are influencing the world around us. It starts from our micro environment to the macro environment. Developing a leadership skills. Public speaking and leadership goes hand in hand. One complements the other. The next is becoming a thought leader. You close your eyes and think of any public speaker, you will always find that person to be a thought leader. Whether you subscribe to that thought, whether you acknowledge that thought or not, that is a different question altogether. But that person is always a thought leader. Now let us come to the basic elements of public speaking. Like any communication process, the basic elements for public speaking are the speaker, the message, the audience or the receiver, the channel, the feedback, noise, and one very important thing here, let me tell you, is the place and situation. One of the pivotal among these basic elements of public speaking is the speaker itself. It is actually the personality, the charisma, the content, the way the speaker speaks, the knowledge, everything combined. In a public speaking process, the speaker holds a very, very important role, right? And many a times it happens that the speaker takes help from various aids, like a PowerPoint presentation, some visual aid, music, this, that, and the other. Maybe some audiovisual aid, but remember, the speaker is very, very important. The second one is message, of course. That is the main thing that a public speaker has. That is the only thing, rather, that a public speaker has. So, the public speaker must be very careful about the content of his speech or her speech. What exactly I'm going to deliver. So the content has to be rich, authentic, and as per the need of the target audience or the objective of that particular speech. Each communication activity we do has an objective. So the content or the message of the public speaking has to match with that objective as well as with the target, as well as with the style of the speaker, the kind the speaker wants to deliver it in. Everything has to be well gelled, well networked, right? The third component of public speaking is the receiver or the audience. This is a very important thing, and that is the main point of our discussion today. That is target audience, and the other one is research. So audience is the main element of public speaking. If the speaker with his speech cannot relate with the audience, cannot reach to the audience, the public speaking is not a very, or the public speech is not a very successful one. So it is important to understand what does the audience want or what is the audience's expectation. So the speaker must adapt to the audience both in their language, in their culture, and convey the message in such a way that the audience can receive it easily without much effort. Right? The next is the channel of public speaking. When a speaker communicates with the audience, they use many communication channels. We know it from the very first chapter of our communication learning. In public speaking, the channel is always an oral channel. It could be television, radio, or it could even be, say, a public speech on a ground, like our politicians generally do, right? In this kind of a channel, two things are very important. One is the verbal channel, and the other one is the non-verbal channel. The verbal channel is the auditory channel, which can be through the television medium, it can be the radio medium, some digital medium, and the non-verbal channels like gesture, facial expressions, eyesight, movements, personality of the speaker, etc. In this case, let me tell you one thing. There is something called paralanguage, which is also very important. That is the voice, tone, pitch, pronunciation, and the style of delivery. The next element in public speaking is feedback. Remember, feedback in public speaking might not always be immediate and direct. Say, for example, a political leader doing a political speech on a particular ground, lot of people coming in, clapping, sloganing for that person or for that XYZ party is one immediate feedback that they are getting. The indirect or the delayed feedback, which is the most important one in case of public speaking, is when these common mass goes on a polling day, votes for or against that particular person. That is the delayed feedback. So remember, in a public speech or in public speaking, it is not always possible to get the feedback immediately. And even if we get a feedback immediately, it might change over the time. So, in public speaking, there are two types of feedback. One is delayed and one is immediate. The immediate one that we get then and there, and the delayed one is, after a while, after the thinking process, all this. For example, for a particular television show, on the very first day or first 2-3 episodes, the viewership is very high. Over the time, the viewership drops. So that is an example of immediate and delayed feedback. The next one is noise. Any communication cannot happen without any barrier. Noise in public speaking is a barrier. Whenever a public speaker dealing with a lot of audience, there is bound to be noise, unless it is done through some kind of mass media like radio, television, etc. The last but not the least element of public speaking is the place and the situation from where we are actually giving the speech. That is important. If I am in a position where I'm comfortable, all the amenities required for the speech is at par, then the speech is going to be more successful than if the situation is not very proper. Now coming to the target audience. There are 4 types of target audience. We all know what is a target audience. Target audience is the main reason for any kind of public speaking activity. That means my communicatees to whom I am trying to disseminate or convey the message. There are 4 types of audience. One are the friendly audience who reinforces in the beliefs. The apathetic audience, it is actually the responsibility of the speaker first to convince those audience that whatever he or she is saying is important for them. The next is the uninformed audience who has no idea about what is it going to be. So it is also the important responsibility of the speaker to educate them regarding the topic, regarding the situation, regarding the speech, and then pursue with the speech. And of course, There are a kind of audience whom we call the hostile audience, and it is the purpose of the speaker to respect them and their viewpoint. Now, when we have started talking about audience, let me tell you, there is something called audience analysis factors. And what are those factors? Audience expectations, knowledge and attitude of the audience towards the topic, audience size, the demographics, settings, voluntariness, and egocentrism. Audience expectation is something that each and every person, whether they go for the public speech knowingly or unknowingly, has in their mind. It is the responsibility of the public speaker to understand that and take care of that expectation. The attitude towards the topic is another very important area which the public speaker has to take care of. Then comes one thing which is very, very important, that is the demography. Now, in a public speech, demography, understanding the demography of the audience is very important. What does demography includes? Demographic factors includes age, gender, religion, ethnic background, sexual orientation, occupation, education, all these. And from this, we can actually divide our audience in different divisions, catering to their needs and to their expectations. Setting of a presentation can influence the audience mind. So we need to take care that whenever an audience is there to listen to my speech or participate in a public speaking activity, the setting should be at par the comfort of the audience. There are some people who comes voluntarily to the public speaking forum or to the public speaking activity. They come because they have something to understand, they have something to share, they have a kind of positive interest in the topic or maybe in the speaker. But there are some who are not that voluntary. They come because of so many various reasons, right? So you have to take care of both the sections of your audience. The last one here is the egocentrism. So most of us are very egocentric, and it is the responsibility of the speaker to show the audience why the topic is important for him or her. Right? So these are the factors which needs to be analyzed in public speaking. Remember, unless we do it, we cannot do a good public speech because we are doing the speech for none but the audience. So it is important for us to take care of the audience, understand their mindset, understand their expectation, their demographic profile, make the setting as per their convenience, and then proceed with the public speaking. The next part is research in public speaking. So what is research? Research is finding out details about the topic on which we are going to talk. And how is it important? It is very important. Without research, no public speech can be delivered. Research not only gives us confidence, research makes our speech credible and helps the audience to start believing in whatever is being said. When I say believing, I certainly not mean believing in things which are not true. Believing means accepting and analyzing on the audience's part also. We talk about a lot of research, but you know what happens when we go to do the research? We actually do not have a very structured plan. It is very important for us to have a structured plan of research and how to do it. First of all, we have to understand that why are we going to do that speech? What is the reason for that speech? So the objective has to be identified or the purpose has to be identified. What are the inventory which is required for our research? Do I go to a library? Do I use the digital forum? Do I take interviews with people, read old newspapers, new newspaper, use the television channel programs? How are I going to do it? So library, internet, television, whatever. Create a list of concept words for research, the key words and the concept words. And then, last but not the least, keep a track of citations. That means the references from where I have taken the content. Research are of two types. One is primary and the other one is secondary. And while we develop a researching strategy, there are certain things we need to keep in mind. The first and the foremost is time allotment. Say I have to give a speech on the recent employment status of our country. So in that case, I need to understand how much time should I give to history, should I give to the recent condition, should I give to my introduction, my conclusion, my analysis of data, everything. So that time frame has to be maintained. Time for preparation of the speech, determining the needs, making a list of keywords as I said, and describing it whenever necessary, because everyone will not be able to understand the jargons used, and finding proper resources for that research. So let me tell you one thing very categorically, that without research, a public speech cannot be done. And while we do the research, we need to take care of 2-3 things. One is the objective of the public speech. 2, the medium on which we are giving the public speech. 3, and the most important one, is what kind of target audience will I have for that particular speech. So at the end, let me tell you how research helps us. Let us understand, without research, we cannot develop a content, no matter how much I know about a particular subject. Research helps us to make a structured and justified content. I know a lot of things about subject X. Doesn't mean that all those are necessary. So research tells me, guides me to find the most appropriate ones. Right? Research also helps us to structure our speech. Otherwise, maybe a topic I know a lot about it. I keep on talking. In the process, I lose track, which is not very good for a communicator. The second is, research allows us a lot of anecdotes, helps us with a lot of anecdotes, which is interesting and makes the speech interesting for the audience as well. Because if we continue with very serious content throughout the speech, it becomes heavy and boring for the audience. Research helps us to find similar examples which we can use. Research helps us to take care of our verbal and non-verbal communication skills. Research helps us to build on our confidence and develop our expertise. Remember, a public speaker is someone who is an expert in that particular domain. Not everybody can become a public speaker on a particular domain. He or she has to be an expert. Research helps to develop this expertise. So this is all about today's session. Today we have discussed public speaking, target audience, and research in public speaking. Thank you.